Nice.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Yvette Young, and you are with me, Dweezil Zappa, and we are having guitar power right now. Now, I want to see if you could maybe tell us a little bit about how you got started with playing guitar, but how Instagram became your choice of getting your music out.
My background is classical piano and classical violin, but the classical world is super cutthroat and competitive, and I guess the pressure got to me because I was really young. I had an eating disorder, so when I was in the hospital, a way to, I guess, self-medicate and kind of do therapy was writing music, and I always wanted to play guitar. Like, ever since I was in high school, I would sneak out and go to shows, and I would see people shredding it, and I was like, I want to do that. So when I was in the hospital, I took up guitar, and I kind of taught myself things and wrote lyrics. They're really cringy and emo, but and then I would post a riff to Instagram. And I found that eventually it became a great way to incentivize myself and finish songs, because I'd post something and someone would be like, when is the song coming out? I'd be like, there is no song, it's just this riff. But then, you know, because I don't like to disappoint, I'd make it into a song.
Well, one thing that you mentioned, that you started off by playing piano, so your approach to guitar is less guitaristic and more like a piano in a lot of ways because of the two-handed approach.
So I'll treat the upper strings like my right hand,
Yeah.
and I'll, like, you know, have the main melodic line there, and then my left hand is like the lower string, so it'll be like
Bass
stuff that
parts
accompanies
or,
it. Yeah, things that'll like kind of guide the melody and color it in a different way. I'll just put this capo here really quick because I'm used to it. I'll show you something where like the progression would be like. So like stuff like that.
So something simple, something really, you know, when you're accompanying yourself and you're doing essentially a chord and melody thing, but it's a complicated way to write music.
Because when I write, I actually don't count.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, like when I write this kind of compound time signature stuff, I usually don't even really think about what I'm doing. I do it by feel and groove.
Yeah.
And then later I'm forced to confront what I've done when I bring it to my drummer, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
There's this funny video that kind of like got passed around of me explaining to my drummer humming like nebulous melodies while like going like. So it was just a funny video of me just counting something that was in 7 and then in 11.
7-11, just like the store. Like every song is going to be some version of 7 and 11.
11th notes are my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, I think actually sometimes I really like when he accents different things because it kind of gives it a new feel. Like, for instance, there's some riffs where it's like I tend to drone on some things for a while, and it gets stale after a while, and he'll just like vary up the rhythm for what he's doing, and it totally gives it new life. And at the end of the day, I think it adds something interesting, something that I would have never thought to do.
You mentioned the pressure before of like when you were in the competition with the piano stuff. Is it like a really free-flowing feeling when you're playing the guitar versus the piano?
Yeah, it is. I think mostly the pressure from the classical world emerged from just being forced to compete with other people. Like, people are just pitted against each other. Yeah. So I think I wanted to escape to the world of rock and roll because I think it's a little bit less like cutthroat. I mean, it still is competitive, but the idea of competition really turns me off. And for me, I just like, there's like a lot of community in the scene that I work in, like the indie math rock community. Everyone's friends and everyone like kind of feeds each other ideas, and
so that the indie math rock is what you would maybe describe your music?
Yeah, I think a lot of people know me as like the math rock girl or whatever.
So explain if you could, because there's probably going to be some viewers that have never heard of the term math rock. So what does that mean to you?
Math rock usually is stuff that has compound time signatures, like odd meters. And I guess it's such a broad term. You get bands like, a lot of people think Don Caballero is like the first math rock band, and they're kind of like sludgy and grimy, but then you get a more clean tone math rock band. Like there's a band called TTNG, and they're like, you know, they have vocals and they're more like on the indie side, and it's like very pleasant to listen to.
What I also want to know is, like, when you first started, what were some of your biggest guitar influences?
Well, when I first started learning guitar, I listened to a lot of folk. Like I really like Sufjan Stevens and Cat Stevens, just all the Stevens. And then I think when I started picking up electric guitar, I listened to a lot of like math rock bands, post-rock kind of indie bands from Japan. And there's this one band, Toe, that I loved a lot. And
Toe, like on your foot?
yeah,
toe?
like Toe. I think, I'm not sure if it's Toei. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
saying it right. Sorry, Japan. They play in a lot of open tunings. And then there's this one emo band called American Football that a lot of people like. Again, it's another open tuning band, and I think that's how I got introduced to the more fingerstyle open tuning stuff that I play.
While you're on that topic, what tuning do you prefer?
Right now, this is F-A-C-G-A-E.
And so that's just on its own. If you strum that, that's a nice sounding chord.
It's like having a non-blank canvas. It kind of like colors the mood already, and I wanted to sound as full as possible as a solo guitar player, and open tunings make a lot of intervals and shapes easier.
That's cool. So you have a lot of terminology for what you talk about, the techniques. Is this like the terminology that you use, or is it part of the math rock community, like opposing slide, chasing, stuff like that?
Chasing I've heard used by other people before. Basically, it's when you play a chord and then you tap, and it's called chasing because your hand kind of goes with the chord, you know? So for the opposing / parallel slide stuff, I don't know if someone else said that, but I use that to describe how it is, because like, you know, I have slide techniques where it's like stuff like that. You can, that's an opposing slide. Versus something like, you know, you have like
That's
two
a
octaves.
unison,
Unison, yeah.
The low one could go up and the other one could, the high one could go down for another opposing sound. Maybe you could show us another riff or something that maybe you get asked about a lot.
I'll show you a riff where I'm plucking with my fingers, but also like filling in moments with tapping.
Okay.
So. So that's an example of where I'm plucking chords, but I'm also like tapping.
Any signature kind of effects that you use with any of your songs?
Our new album that's coming out is totally a lot of effects. There's a lot of delay on it. I have this chorus vibrato called a Lo-Fi Junkie from Yvette, and it's all over the record just because I love it so much. It sounds like nostalgic, but also kind of warbly and gross and like out of tune, and I love that. Like, it adds character.
Yeah, and I know you've painted on your own guitars and you do other art projects and things. Is there a way that you translate that to music?
Yeah, usually what happens is I'll write a riff and then I'll be like, oh, this sounds like a rainy section, or this sounds like, you know, lying in bed looking out a window at night. Everyone sees something when they hear music, hopefully. And, you know, sometimes I'll close my eyes and I'm playing something and it'll transport me somewhere. I think that's a goal with most of the music I write, is if it does anything for you, I want it to like transport you somewhere. There's this one section of a song, it's just like a really pretty like broken chord that I'm playing, and to me it sounds like nostalgia. It sounds like reminiscing about a place that you've traveled to. The song's called Shibuya because it's a city in Japan that I had a lot of fun in, and it kind of sounded like when I was out there in the nightlife. You can do a lot of stuff with the chords you choose to, like more atonal, kind of unpleasant sounding chords you can put in there to make something sound very like ambivalent and weird. Like, it can be pleasant, and then you can contrast it with that atonality. And I think a lot of the new stuff that I'm writing, I just want people to feel conflicted.
Okay, so you like to throw a little chaos into the mix.
Yeah,
there,
a little
you
bit.
know? Good. Well, is there a new technique that you are working on?
Well, you know what's funny is that I think I started out doing more fancy, elaborate tapping stuff, but my new technique, things that I'm introducing into my band's music, is actually chords.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of funny. It's like usually the opposite, right?
Yeah.
You have to have contrast in songwriting to appreciate a particularly technical part. If it's everything just like, you know.
It's just one color.
Yeah, exactly. I can show you an example where I like juxtapose chords and tap runs.
Sure, sure.
This is from one of our new songs. So that's like a section where I'm like doing chords and tap runs at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's great. So you have a new record that you're in the process of making?
We finished recording. We've just been waiting to put it out, so it's going to be out in a few weeks. You know, I'm used to the DIY world where you just record a record in your garage and you're like, all right, here it is, like, and throw it out there on Bandcamp
So
or
this
something.
one you did in a studio?
In a studio. It was my first ever studio experience. It was amazing. The EP is called Flores.
Sounds great. This is Yvette Young. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.